Part 11. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Gong. Chapter 103. Speaking of which, this ancient immortal is also suffering. At the beginning, he was born in a family of immortals, with smooth wind and water, and was included as the true biography of Seinen. But outside the Fire Dragon Cave mansion, he was hanged and beaten by Fangxian, and he knew that he was the head of the three immortals. He had no hope of revenge, and was almost beaten to the point of doubting his life. Later, when I returned home to relax, I got the opportunity to help me with spiritual pills, condense the magic sword art, and advance to the supernatural realm. It's just like this, the foundation is unstable, and the teacher is not happy. Seeing that he already has the golden silk sword, he will not give him the flying sword that he had prepared. He didn't know that his golden silkworm sword was only inferior, and it didn't quite match the magic sword technique he practiced. The demon refining sword art comes with the demon refining true fire, which is the nemesis of the evil spirits. Every time the flying sword is sacrificed, the soul of the golden silkworm in the golden silkworm sword will be tortured. Of course, the elders of Shushan are only small punishments and big admonitions. It is expected that after a period of time, this ancient Taoist knows that he is wrong and will give him a suitable flying sword. After all, he is one of the three immortals, and the future master of the refining magic sword. Gu Deoxian didn't know this. He originally thought that he was also a loose immortal and had a flying sword in his hand, so he shook again and came to test the sword with confidence. In the end, when he met Fangxian, the other party actually had a golden pill. Immediately, it was hit hard. There was a little bit of thought in my heart that this person is really my natural nemesis. This time, I came out to relax, and when I met a golden pill, I was restrained by my own sword. This ancient Taoist finally gave birth to a bit of confidence. It turns out that it's not that I'm too weak, but that person is too strong. As for you, a mere side door Jindan? Young master is going to kill a Jindan to relax his mind today. With the ancient Dao Xianfei sword in his hand, he performed the demon refining sword art, and the true fire of refining demon emerged, forcing the ancestor of the green locust. After all, he is extremely talented, and his chances are extraordinary. He cultivates the Shushan true inheritance, and the swordsmanship is vertical and horizontal, and there are flames attached to it, which is exactly the nemesis of all kinds of evil worms. Kuye, where did a little evil star come from? The ancestor of the green locust was so wronged. Obviously he suffered heavy losses. Why is the other party so aggressive? He didn't know that when Gu Deoxian saw Fangxian's understatement and beheaded his target this time, Grandma Lu, he suddenly felt a little unwilling to admit defeat. But the green locust ancestor is the weakest among the three golden pills in the 100 Gu section. Although the 100 Gu sect has a true inheritance from a side door, it is too difficult. He was restrained to such an extent that there was almost nothing he could do. As soon as the swords passed, his forehead was covered in cold sweat, and he waved his green robe to escape, not even his disciples. Go away. Gu Deoxian saw that the ancestor of the green locust was about to escape, and immediately shouted, and used the supernatural power of opening the human and the sword, turning it into a brilliant sword light. The speed was amazing, and the escape light transformed by the green-robed ancestor passed through. The green locust ancestor had a green robe all over his body. It was a magic weapon series, or the worst kind. He was pierced by the golden silkworm sword, strangled by the sword light, and suddenly died. On the ground, Ma Dongdan and his junior brother were already dumbfounded. Master was killed by that kid. Are we dreaming? After a while, the sky and the earth were blood red, and it seemed that there was a sea of blood floating in. On the ground, whether pedestrians or birds and beasts, all died and died, turned into mummified corpses and fell to the ground, as if they had been absorbed by a body of essence. Not good. It's the blood Gu god who was born, this must be the news sent back by the master's life goo. Attract the anger of the door. Ma Dongdon's face was full of despair. This blood goo god doesn't care if he is a disciple of the 100 Gu sect, and if he directly rolls the sea of blood, anyone will be turned into a mummified corpse. How fast is the escape speed comparable to the true Lord of the Law? Before Gu Deoxian finished packing the storage bag of the green locust ancestor, a sea of blood came from the 100 Gu sect, blocking the 9 heavens and 10 places. In a thick blood light, a big hand sticks out, and there are many skeletons on it, grabbing to Gu Deoxian. In the face of such a grab that is comparable to the true master of the law, even if the ancient Taoist is the pinnacle of supernatural powers, the true disciple, who can reverse the golden core, will be pinched into powder. At a critical moment, a mouthful of 3 yangs, a chi sword and another blue rainbow, as well as Buddha light and fire dragon, were beheaded by this big hand. The big hand shook, and it immediately turned into a sky of poisonous blood and spread out. You bastard, the old man will one day piss you off. Old Daoist Zuyun pulled Gu Deoxian back, blowing his beard and staring at him in anger. The monk Sang Xiao next to him didn't even look at Gu Deoxian, but just stared at the sea of blood with Fang Xian. The power of the Dharma is difficult for me to match, what should I do? Although several people joined forces to block the attack of the blood Gu god, monk Jinhai didn't think they could match Fa Xiang, so he asked with a sullen face. Why don't I fly to the 100 Gu sect's gate with my flying sword? His gate is empty, and I don't need to care who it is, just kill them all. Fang Xian asked indifferently, holding the fire dragon sword. No, if this blood Gu god goes mad, loses his restraints, and slaughter, it is the cause and effect of my waiting. Monk Sang Xiao quickly refused. Already killed a golden core of the other party, how can it be settled otherwise? Fang Xian frowned. In fact, he is the most indifferent. After all, it is just an incarnation, and if it is damaged, it will be damaged. Moreover, the 3 immortals and 2 heroes of Shushan are all here, and their luck is unparalleled, and it is impossible to damage them here. If nothing else, the true master of the law of the Shushan sword sect will definitely come to the rescue. The most urgent task is how to support until help arrives. Lao Na has a treasure in the cave called 5 Pigment Cloud Square, you can come in and take refuge. Monk Sang Xiao suddenly said. It is good. Monk Jinhai is overjoyed, this magic weapon is well known, it is a cave inside, and it is protected by a 5-color cloud array. Although the magic weapon in this world is respected by the flying sword, there are also several pieces that are not inferior to the might of the flying sword. This 5 Pigment Cloud Square, together with the Zhigong Xian Ding, together with the Shushan Jianpai Sangkao Town School Fijian, is called the Shushan 5 Treasures, and it is destined to be mastered by Arying. This trip, it was carried by the monk Sang Xiao, just in case. When the road of life was revealed, everyone was overjoyed, only Fang Xian suddenly said, it's not good, if I go in, wait until I come out, I'm afraid I'm already in Shushan. Although the incarnation outside the body is thrown out to attract firepower, even if he can hide from the true master of the law, he is not sure that he can hide from the master of the primordial spirit. As for the Shushan sword sect, is there a primordial spirit Daoist? This is a secret in this world, Fang Xian doesn't know it, and doesn't want to gamble. It's so good, fellow Daoists, hold on for the time being, and I'll report to you for help. You don't have to go in person to report a letter, just send a sound transmission to convey the meaning. Fang Xian let out a long roar, made a heroic gesture of sacrifice, and slashed towards the bloody sky with the sword. He used all his strength with this sword, the red sun vision appeared behind him, and the fire dragon sword light sword, even piercing a gap. Taking advantage of this opportunity, his body and sword merged into one, turning into a red long rainbow, and the speed of his sword was like thunder, and he disappeared in an instant. The blood goo god ignored him. After all, the target was still the ancient Dao immortal. He just cast a blood light to refine everyone under the bloody sky. But Gu Daoxian and others all disappeared, and a fairy mansion appeared on the spot, surrounded by 5-color clouds, which actually blocked the erosion of blood light. Shusan. True monarch Beimei's fingers trembled. Not good. Why did the sun escape again? The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 104. Sect Master. Several Shusan elders trembled in their hearts. There are variables in the matter? Yes, since I knew about Fang Xianjidan, I made another arrangement, set up a game, let this child and the other 4 children experience some disasters together, and then be rescued by the sect, forging a fate. 3 immortals and erring, the chi number is extremely contradictory to the demons of the side door. If you go to there will be disasters. I am doing it according to the situation. This time, it is also the chi number that makes him and Ercn erring faintly separated from the original. The meaning of making up again. But I didn't expect, this child actually escaped? True monarch Beimei smiled bitterly. I'm afraid that soon, there will be a sound transmission to report the news, right? If Fang Xian was trapped and he rescued him, the other party would owe Shusan a lot of karma. At that time, let the other party become Shusan guest Qing, but it will come naturally. But Fang Xian escaped and did not need to be rescued, so there was no cause and effect to talk about. After all, the culprit of all this was Gu Daoxian, so the Shusan sword sect wanted to honor him for a report. Isn't the son also intensively trained in innate divine calculations? How can he make every move like this? So, a Shusan elder was almost speechless. There are loopholes in the sky. Let's press this matter for now. Sang Xiao, Zuyun, and the others are besieged by the blood Gu god. What should we do? Another elder asked. This is the fate destined for the 4 little things, and it has to be tempered to become a weapon, the white-eyed true monarch said. With the 5-colored cloud square, it must be unimpeded, and you can practice cleanly until the fate is complete. On the next day, I took the refining demon sword to slay the blood Gu gods and let them out. As for that Fang Xian, after this battle, most of the ties to Ercn Ying's original destiny have been broken. With my ability, I can try again at most. No luck. Wild, in a cave. A large number of tortoise shells were thrown aside, and there was even a big demon with a golden core. Fang Xian spit out a mouthful of blood. The 6 paths of reincarnation, it's still a spiritual formula, and it cannot be upgraded to a divine path. This is a limitation of the heavens. His face paled for a while. Even if I have an attribute column to increase my understanding, and use the tortoise and blood to predict the secrets, there is still no way. It seems that this world does not allow monks to achieve the Dao with reincarnation. It's just that there is a silver lining in the sky. No matter how desperate the situation is, there is always a silver lining. The corner of Fang Xian's mouth outlined a smile. The 6 paths of reincarnation art is only at the level of spirit art and cannot be changed, but it can be assisted by external objects to condense a high-grade reincarnation pill when it is formed. There are 2 kinds of external objects. One of them is the endless fire of good fortune, and the other one is the water of the 9 Serenity Yellow Spring Styx River. It's no wonder that I used divination before and had to take the opportunity under the North Sea. It turned out not to be for the invisible needle, but for that flame. 9 secluded Huangquan Styx River water is the treasure of Kunlun Devil Palace. It is rumored that this water can help the true Lord of the Law to cleanse the yin of the Dharma and enhance the way of Taoism. Therefore, it is very rare, for the present, we must go to the Kunlun Devil Palace and his party. Fang Xian pinched his fingers and said thoughtfully, the fate owed to the master of Bihai Cave Mansion should also be in the Kunlun Devil Palace. To infiltrate the Kunlun Devil Palace, the best way is of course to pretend to be a magic cultivator. I have 100 lifetimes. Reincarnation tactics, there is no big problem in covering up your breath, and you also have a suitable magic weapon in your hand, that is, the 5 ghost banners. The way of magic is widely spread, and its legacy is endless. Even Yuan Shendaijun may not be able to count all the details. Fang Xian thought to himself, as long as he pretends to be a side branch of the demon sect at will, and does not meet the Dharma, primordial spirit, and other great powers, it is probably fine. Just to get the 9 Serenity Yellow Spring Styx River, it must be difficult. If you don't face the Dharma, you will be difficult to achieve. However, this is the last thing. If you have an invisible needle in your hand, and then recall the great Sun Zhenyang pill, you may not be able to give it a try in the face of the Dharma master. Thinking like this, Fang Xian changed his face, still looking like a young man, but his eyes were dark, and from time to time he released a fierce light, as if he wanted to choose someone to devour, and took out the 5 ghost flags, and retrained, just a shake. There was a lot of demonic energy. Release. Well, this thing can be renamed as the 5 demon fans, and it matches my magic power. Wait, I have real magic power in the beginning. Who can pretend to be more like a devil than me? Fang Xian suddenly felt that this was no longer a question of resemblance. Kunlun Mountains. This mountain is located to the west of the Dagon Court. Yugzi Palace, one of the 5 famous sects, once erected the mountain gate here. It was only later that an extraordinary genius emerged from the magic path, and he just grabbed this 1,000 miles of Kunlun from the Yugzi Palace as the old nest, and established the foundation of the Kunlun Magic Palace. Since then, the cultivator of Yugzi Palace has become incompatible with the Kunlun Demon Palace, but he is alone, and often suffers losses. Up to now, the Kunlun Demon Palace has continued to multiply and grow, and it has become the authentic atmosphere of the demon sect. On this day, a ray of light flashed across the sky. This escaping light is full of evil spirits, and it seems that I don't know how many ghosts have been refined into it. If you dare to control such an escape in the realm of the imperial court, you may be cut off by a passing expert. But in Kunlun, it is the famous and upright sword light that will be blocked, and this kind of escape light will be unimpeded. Among the dark clouds, Fang Xian was a little speechless. The speed of this ghost barrier is okay, but it's too ostentatious. This magic weapon was obtained by him after destroying a tributary of the demon sect. Anyway, the inheritance of the magic door is much looser than the right way, and there are many tributaries. Fang Xian just destroyed a small Taoist temple presided over by a demon, beheaded 6 or 7 treacherous people, and easily obtained a lot of magic tools and books. Actually, the inheritance that my master, Daoist Yu Fang, obtained might also come from a demon disciple. Otherwise, how could there be such a magic weapon as the 5 ghost banners? In this way, I really have an intense relationship with the demon sect, even if it is calculated. While thinking about it, a light flashed across the front. The light is pink, and the fragrance is faint, like orchids, like musk deer, enticing people's hearts. Fang Xian moved in his heart, chased after him, and shouted, "Sister Fairy, please stay." The escaping light really stopped, and a female cultivator appeared, wearing a thin gauze, and said with a smile, "What a handsome little brother, who are you? Why did you stop me, Peach Blossom?" This woman is also a magic cultivator in the supernatural power realm, but when she raises her hands and feet, she seems to have infinite charm. Under Jade Suanji, I was born in a high-ranking career, and I was lucky enough to get started. I heard that the Kunlun Demon Palace is the sect of all demons in the world. I came here to recognize my ancestors and return to the clan. I also asked my sister to show me the way. My brother is very grateful. Fang Xian replied. Although the inheritance of demon sect is extensive, many true magical powers are still only available in the main altar of the demon palace and a few major veins. Fang Xian said this is logical. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 105. It turned out to be the little brother from the big cotter. No wonder it's not the same as my Kunlun disciple. Madame Peach Blossom giggled and laughed. If you ask me for advice, what benefits will it give me? She didn't just believe it when she just said it, and she had to think about it carefully. How about these 5 white bone beads? Fang Xian thought about it and took out 5 white bone beads from the treasure bag. This is also the trophy of the faction he killed. It was made from the bones of people who died in the yin, and yin. Well, not bad, my sister accepted it. Mother Peach Blossom put away the white bone beads and said with a smile, I will point you to a good one. Although I have no distinctions in Taoism, I can also be divided into inside and outside. The best, of course, is the true disciple of the Kunlun Devil Palace, all magical powers. The classics can be viewed at will, and once again for the major branches such as the Blood Sea Road and the White Bone Palace, there are also true inheritances, and for those again, it is not necessary to say that it is a fluke to be able to form a golden elixir. My little brother is a high-minded person and wants to worship the Kunlun Magic Palace. I don't know if the lady has a way. Fang Xian wanted to plan the Juyuhuan Styx River, which is only produced by the Kunlun Magic Palace, and immediately asked. Little brother is really high-spirited, but with your material, it's not bad to be able to cultivate supernatural powers. It's difficult to enter the Kunlun Magic Palace. It's almost like being a child, Peach Blossom said with a smile. As the saying goes, I would rather be the head than the tail of a phoenix, but I want to climb the dragon and attach the phoenix to the sky. Even a boy can do it. Fang Xian replied quickly. Forget it, you can go with me. It just so happens that there is a jade envoy from the Magic Palace from my sister. If you can pay a lot of money and get his favor, it will not be difficult to be brought back to the Magic Palace. Dehua the lady beckoned. Fang Xian immediately came to the pink escape light and sat on the frame of Mother Peach Blossom. The female cultivator giggled, sometimes made some seductive gestures, and asked about Fang Xian's cultivation method. Fang Xian talked about the classics that he got, and he has the attribute column to understand cheating, but it is also a little bit tricky. Not long after, they arrived at Mother Peach Blossom's cave. There is a continuous palace on the ground, all of which are her territory. Among them, imitating the dynasties in the world, they searched for all kinds of beautiful men, and established 72 male concubines in 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, singing every night, so happy. At this time, Luan Jiao fell, and 2 rows of male pets came to greet him with fans and the like, making Fang Xian feel goosebumps all over his body. If it was normal, Empress Peach Blossom would have held a meeting without cover, but at this time, she remembered the business and asked, is the envoy to pick up the jade? How are those boys and girls prepared? Miss Kikai, everything is ready. A face smeared with powder on his face replied, looking at Fang Xian with a somewhat provocative gaze. This is treating me as a competitor? Bah, this kind of stuff, I don't want to post it upside down. Fang Xian shuddered, watching from the sidelines as Lady Peach Blossom handled some palace affairs. In this 10,000 miles of Kunlun land, there are also many small countries. The Kunlun Magic Palace is the suzerain, and every year, a large number of spices, beautiful jade, boys and girls are enshrined. The so-called receiving jade envoys are the Kunlun Magic Palace envoys who receive and lead this batch of jade. Let Fang Xian nodded secretly, knowing that the Peach Blossom goddess didn't lie to him, otherwise, his magic power would be unleashed. Little brother, you happen to be going with me to meet the jade envoy. Lady Peach Blossom smiled and led Fang Xian into a main hall. In the main seat of the hall, there was already a pale-cheeked demon envoy. A pair of icy eyes swept over, constantly wandering on the Peach Blossom Empress, and said with a smile, Niang Niang, you are late. It's not too late, Let my sister accompany Lord Zhang tonight? Empress Peach Blossom's face suddenly revealed thousands of amorous feelings, and she compared the rest of the beauty in the palace. Well, the jade that I received this time is of good quality. One of them, Qin Shiki, has already cultivated supernatural powers, but he can go to the palace to be a child. The ginger messenger laughed. Oh! I also found one here. It's Yu Suanji from Dagon. Empress Peach Blossom pointed at Fang Xian. I have also cultivated supernatural powers, and I want to recommend him to be a child. A side branch of Dagon? Anyone who can come out of that Longton tiger's den has something special, let me see. The ginger messenger drank it cold. Fang Xian took a few steps forward and said, neither humble nor arrogant, I have seen the messenger. You want to enter my Kunlun Devil Palace? Zhang Envoy showed a playful smile on his face. Also please adults. Fang Xian handed a treasure bag up. Very good. Mr. Zhang glanced and nodded, then I will include you and be a child. For him, it's just a small thing. Unexpectedly, a boy jumped out, Sir, I'm not convinced. How can this person compare to me? Little 17, then what do you think we should do? Zhang Envoy asked with a smile. Let me try this person's Jinliang. Qin Shiki smiled proudly and entered the arena. He practiced the Azura magic art, one of the 13 secrets of the Kunlun Magic Palace, and was the best at fighting. Okay, this is how my magic palace solves the problem, haha. The messenger Zhang laughed, Yu Suanji, you must not refuse. Yes, it's just that I shot too hard, I'm afraid it will hurt Tianhe. A look of trouble appeared on Fang Xian's face. What are you afraid of? Since you are fighting between life and death, you should be conceited. Zhang Envoy shouted, let's start. Qin Shiki sneered, the bones all over his body exploded, and a layer of white bone armor was born, and it seemed that he had forged himself into a magic weapon. Roaring at this time, he rushed towards Fang Xian. Ugh! Fang Xian sighed, took out the 5 magic flags, and shook it gently. The black chi appeared, and the 5 demons, the Vajra demon, the white bone demon, the formless demon, the blood sea demon, and the formless heart demon jumped out, grabbed Qin Shiki, and just tore them into pieces. A vortex appeared in the air and devoured the corpse. Hearing a grunt sound, the original little genius disappeared without a trace. Fang Xian's breath rose for a while, and sighed, is it bad to live? Why kill yourself? Big swallowing magic art. Zhang Messenger and Peach Blossoms were shocked and cried out. This great swallowing heaven demon art is also one of the 13 secret biography. Just cultivating this method cannot eliminate the drawbacks of mixing mana and soul, and 10% of them will go to hell. The most powerful one is just crazy if he achieves Jindan. Therefore, although this method is widely spread, those who dare to practice are not lunatics among lunatics, or those who have a deep hatred of blood and are promoted regardless of the cost. All in all, the end is extremely bad. Madame Peach Blossom even screamed in her heart, Mom, I originally suspected that he was a decent spy, but I didn't expect that he was a lunatic who practiced the great swallowing magic technique. I actually walked all the way with a lunatic, and still if you want to seduce him, are you not afraid of being swallowed by him in the middle of the night? As soon as I thought about it, cold sweat broke out on my back. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 106. Sorry, the messenger, I didn't hold back for a while. Fang Xian raised his head and smiled shyly. It's okay, the messenger surnamed Zhang calmed down at this time and waved his hand, a dead genius is not a genius, this is the rules of my magic palace, do you understand? There were many boys and girls below, who were a little excited at first, but at this moment they were all too scared, the chickens nodded as if they were pecking at the rice, not daring to look at Fang Xian. A few days later, the top of Kunlun Mountain. A cloud boat fell, and the jade envoy Zhang Liwo went down first, and said to the boy and girl behind him, "This is the Kunlun Magic Palace, you can be my Magic Palace boy, it is a great fate, serve if the immortal masters are happy, maybe they will accept you as disciples, and they will be taught the true inheritance, and from then on, they will step into the avenue of longevity. As for those immortals who are moody and sweet, there is no need to say these." Fang Xian mingled with the gods, and couldn't help but stunned. Although the magic power is easy to achieve quickly, but from the Kunlun countries, so many good seedlings can be found, which shows that the magic path is prosperous. When he got here, Zhang Liwo was just an ordinary disciple, and he no longer had the power to be majestic outside. He led Fang Xian, joined the boys from all directions, and gathered in a white marble square. An old man of magic sect Jindan flew from the sky, and he didn't say much. With one finger of mana, a piece of boy was circled, "Wait, go to the alchemy room. This piece goes to the animal pen. This piece goes to serve the elders." In the last batch, many of the new true disciples' palaces have not yet filled up with children, so it's cheaper for you. Fang Xian lowered his eyebrows and pleasing to the eye, was divided into the last batch, and was led to a hall to start registering. "Listen now, there are 6 disciples who have been promoted to true inheritance this time, and 6 new halls have been opened, which are for Fiheng Hall, Jingtao Hall, Primordial Bone Hall, Blood River Hall, Hate Heaven Hall, and the Last Heaven Hall. Hall of Zhou." A deacon said slowly, "I'll start the assignment. Master Huang, the villain presents this thing and wants to go to the Fiheng Hall." A boy called quickly and gave a black Ganoderma lucidum. "Well, you are the son of King Deluo, right? The true disciple of Fiheng Temple is from your family, so I can't say that I can promote you to the entrance." Deacon Huang immediately changed his face and replied with a smile, "Please take care of me in the future." It turns out that there are people in the demon section. Fang Xian secretly watched other virgins begin to ask for entrustment, which was an eye-opener. And, the good and the bad are divided. Among these true disciples, the 3 palace masters, Fiheng, Yuangu, and Suihe, were the most favored. They invited the most boys, and in the end they were even full. As for the final temple of Heavenly Zhou, it had the smallest number of people. Fang Xian, who was not filial, was assigned to this place along with a few unlucky bastards. Ruined. On the way to the temple of Heavenly Zhou, a boy complained, "I heard from my aunt that this true disciple of the temple of Heavenly Zhou has a bleak future, I am afraid that I will follow the unfortunate, it is better to find a way to change jobs earlier bar." "Humph, what are you afraid of? Our demonic way is to break through the impossible, this cold stove doesn't burn, what if we bet on the treasure?" A boy sneered and said, "From today onwards, I will be your leader. The salary and daily expenses that will be issued in the future must be distributed by me. This little brother, dare to ask your honorable name?" Fang Xian asked with a strange expression. "Hey, my name is Zhen Yin, and I practice blood shadow magic." Zhen Yin said with a strange smile, "This qualification. Enough. Blood shadow divine art is also a branch of the 13 secrets, and it is much better than the demons of the same realm in the supernatural power realm. It is no wonder that he has this confidence. Oh, under the jade mystery, you are practicing the great swallowing heaven demon technique." Fang Xian replied with a smile. "Silence. I am most afraid of the sudden quietness of the air." A few boys kept their distance from him in silence, and in their eyes there were expressions of "damn, lunatic" meaning. Even Zhen Yin, his lips moved, did not dare to provoke. "Okay, it seems that even in the demon sect, madmen who practice the great swallowing demon are not welcome." Fang Xian rolled his eyes secretly. After intriguing all the way, the temple of Heavenly Zhou finally arrived. This palace is layered on top of each other, with at least hundreds of rooms, including pill rooms, medicine fields, refining rooms, etc., as well as a large number of servants, dedicated to serving a true Jindan disciple. As soon as Fang Xian and others arrived, they were absorbed by Amana and came to the main hall. Above the hall, a girl with a cold face sat upright, dressed in bright red clothes, and dragged a long trail behind her. "I am the true disciple, the palace master here, Yunishang." The girl glanced at the boys, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. This woman is a Jin Dan who has just been promoted, and her Dan Qi is still overflowing. Judging from her mana, she should also practice the blood shadow magic all the way. No wonder Zhenyin has a little intention. Wait, why is she also surnamed Yu? Fang Xian felt that the eyes of the boys around him were a little weird, but he ignored them and searched for the source of his heart throbbing. "I made a fool of a name, but I have a jade character. Is it supposed to be here?" He moved in his heart. "I took the eternal fire of good fortune and the invisible needle, and the fate I owe is still on this girl. Is she a descendant of that senior or a descendant of a disciple? The cause and effect of this world are strict, one as for Sri Lanka. You call it Yusuanji?" Yunishang stared at Fang Xian. "Exactly. Do you practice the great swallowing heaven demon technique?" It seems that the girl has been watching these boys secretly. Fang Xian continued to nod. "Well, then I'll ask you to be a general manager." Yunishang said, "I don't have much to do here. Don't bother me with my practice. If there is a major event, ring the bell and tell me. Do you understand? Follow the law." Fang Xian nodded, seeing Zhenyin's somewhat unwilling expression. Apparently this little child suspected that he was engaging in nepotism and was accusing the shady insider. Yunishang said that and left. It should be to retreat and do penance. The remaining chief executive, Fang Xian, sent some people down, tidying up the palace, tidying up the mattresses, as well as meals for the kitchen, and food for spiritual pets, all arranged one by one. There is a lot of oil and water to salvage, but Fang Xian is naturally too lazy to scrape it, and the boy below does this, but turns a blind eye and lets them go. For cultivators, 3 years are fleeting. Fang Xian's incarnation also came to the Kunlun Mountains, but he didn't dare to approach the Kunlun Devil Palace. He only dared to find a place to hide, ready to respond at any time. During this period, many things happened. Among them, the most sensational is that the Shushan sword sect headmaster Zhenjun Jianluo killed the blood gu god with one sword, and released the people of Shushan and the monk Jinhai. The 100 Gu sect was not angry, and sent letters to invite many experts from the side sect, hoping that they would be fair. The Shushan sword sect has always acted domineeringly, and it has long been dissatisfied. This time, the sword test, the two major sects of the side sects were severely injured, and the side sects responded immediately. With Luoshan school Luofu Zhenjun as the head, Bai Kaitang and Miaoshan Road as supplements, and a scattered cultivator Zhenjun, who went to Shushan, made a contract of 3 life and death sword fights. Among them, Gu Daoxian, as the culprit, must fight. The Shushan sword sect could only win for him the promise that the enemy was on the same level as him. The general trend of the world was suddenly turbulent. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 107. The killing of the immortals is brewing. Kunlun Magic Palace, Temple of Heavenly Zhou. Fang Xian has been the general manager of general affairs for 3 years and has heard a lot of news. In this Kunlun Demon Palace, the most respected person is Daijun Minghe, and only this person can refine a few copies of the Juyu Huanquan Minghe water with the help of Daijun's treasures in 100 years. And once this rare treasure is revealed, it will inevitably be divided up by the remaining 4 demon sect true monarchs, and the Jindan disciples below will not even be able to see the root hair. Could it be that I can only make an idea of the true monarch? This chance is probably only one time. Fang Xian looked at the retreat room of the Temple of Heavenly Zhou again. In this hall, there is naturally the most news about this true disciple, and Fang Xian can't even listen to it. Speaking of which, the true disciple named Yunishang had a rough road. Before the true inheritance, the family somehow provokes the true disciple of the Kunlun Devil Palace, Yan Moruo. She was almost killed, and all the men and women were exhausted. She was the only one who escaped and struggled hard in the Kunlun kingdoms. You take your fancy, take it back to the Kunlun Magic Palace, and accept it as a disciple. It's just that this true monarch did not have any good intentions. It should be noted that the magic power cultivated by the true monarch of the Sea of Blood is best at sacrificing and refining the blood god Sun. This thing is usually just a shadow of blood. When attacking the enemy, it can break all kinds of magic weapons, and suck the enemy into a mummified corpse. And those who practice the blood shadow magic are the best materials for cultivating the blood god Sun. Since Yunishang was promoted to Jindan, half of the monks in the entire magic palace have been making bets to guess when she will become a Jindan blood god Sun under the command of true monarch Bloodsea. Anyone who cultivated the blood shadow magic art and put himself under the command of the true monarch of the Sea of Blood would not end well. This is also the reason why those boys were not optimistic about Yunishang at the beginning. And Fang Xian also knew why Yunishang named the palace Tianzhou Temple, and it really was a bloody feud. At this moment, in the Temple of Heavenly Zhou, a bronze bell suddenly chimed without wind. It's the palace master who has left. Many boys and servants who were busy, quickly put down their chores and greeted them in the hall under the leadership of Fang Xian. Not long after, I saw Yunishang in a big red robe sitting on the main seat, obviously having consolidated the realm of Jindan, and shouted, "The ancestor Ming he once said, the righteousness is very good, and if you want to invade my magic palace, you must work hard to cultivate, otherwise the future will be together, and you will become ashes without struggling. This is under the sect of admonition, must work hard to practice." Fang Xian heard this, and his heart froze, knowing that this general trend, whether good or bad, was actually expected, and secretly prepared for it. Yu Suanji. After Yunishang finished training the others, she waved her hands and asked them to step back, leaving Fang Xian alone, staring at him for a while before saying, "Do you know why I appointed you as the chief executive?" Without waiting for Fang Xian's answer, he thought to himself, "It's not because of your surname Yu, but because you practice the great swallowing heaven magic art. Judging from your behavior, you don't look like a lunatic, it must be a bloody feud, although I'm not good at it. Deo, but I can also give you a few pointers, alas." The girl finally sighed softly. Obviously, she wanted to say that if it wasn't impossible for her to become a true monarch, she might also choose this method. Suanji must work hard. Fang Xian lowered his eyelids and replied. In my heart, I was thinking silently, if you want to make a fate, you can give her the invisible needle, but I can't bear it, then I can only avenge her. After slaughtering Yamaluo, it's better to say. True monarch of the Sea of Blood, I really can't do it. Fortunately, Yunishang didn't know what he was thinking, so she waved him back. When he left the hall, Fang Xian's heart moved, but some information came from his avatar. Morocco country. This country is also one of the Kunlun countries. Fang Xian's incarnation outside the body cast 100 reincarnation tactics, changed his appearance and breath, disguised himself as a mortal, and hid in the town. After 3 years, he came here smoothly. At this time, sitting in the tea house, I saw an unexpected person in the crowd. It turned out to be him. In the crowd, a scholar in green shirt turned his head and glanced at the tea house, but he didn't see any acquaintances, so he couldn't help but be a little puzzled. This person is tall and jade-like, with a bookish air, and is the Zhuangzian among the 3 immortals and 2 heroes. Looking at it again at this time, I felt that although the sun has a normal appearance, he has a graceful and elegant temperament, which is very extraordinary. Is this a chance to collide? Fang Xian understood something just by thinking about it. The three immortals and two heroes gathered together in the atmosphere, and in addition to the Shushan sword sect, they also had their own adventures. I was thinking in my heart, how to mix it up. This is not an adventure coveting Zhuangzian, but preparing to forge a fate. Although Fang Xian is not going to join the Shushan sword sect, he does not want to defy the general trend. At this time, he has formed a fate with this Zhuangzian, and he will be able to repay it tenfold and 100-fold in the future, which is a good thing. Otherwise, why are those orthodox masters and reclusive masters tending to come out recently? The world is bustling, all for profit, that's all. Zhuangzian below didn't know that he had an extra helper, and he was still thinking to himself, I have cultivated for 3 years, my supernatural powers have been achieved, and the true master of the head teacher gave me a treasure, and ordered me to go down the mountain, all the way west, to find chance. I have come to Kunlun, where is the chance? Gu Daoxian, who is also the three immortals, caused trouble for the sect, which made Zhuangzian feel uncomfortable. He is a person of inner wisdom, and he doesn't want to be emotional, but he works harder to practice and cultivate the fa. Just in a daze, his expression suddenly changed, he turned into an alley, took out a note from his arms, cold sweat on his forehead. Which expert is joking with me? If you kill me instead of putting in a note, 10 of me will also die, right? After all, I haven't refined the treasure sacrifice to the point where it drives Ruyi, the psychic protector. I don't care if I die, if I lose this treasure, I will die. When I opened the note in panic, I saw the words go to the west for 100 miles, Devil Dragon Valley on it, and a scarlet sword pattern on the bottom, and the sword chi was very familiar. Fire Dragon Sword? It was him. Zhuangzian was stunned, thinking of Fang Xian, his expression couldn't help but be complicated. It can only be said that the head of the three immortals is worthy of being the head of the three immortals. They had already attained the first grade 3 years ago, and he had only just entered the supernatural powers. This gap is really too big. Master and uncle said that he seems to be proficient in innate divine calculations. Since Faishu is here to guide me, it shouldn't be wrong. Zhuangzian was determined, so he left the city and went west all the way. Tisk tisk, the head of Shushan is a little biased, but this kind of favor is owed. Fang Xian looked at the scene and smiled without saying a word. For him, it's just a matter of performing the turtle and blood trigram, but it's worth it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 108. After 7 days. Kunlun Magic Palace, somewhere. Many Jindan cultivators knelt on the ground and said in unison, respectfully welcome the true monarch to leave the customs. The demon dragon true monarch had a stern face, wearing a black robe, and snorted coldly, causing the disciples to bleed from their ears and noses, obviously in a bad mood. He didn't say much, and came to a palace. Senior brother Shura, please see me again. It turned out to be junior brother Malong. What are you looking for from me? A dense voice came out, suddenly left and right, far and near, but did not show up. I'm upset, I'm afraid that disaster will come. True monarch demon dragon's face sank like water. He, you combine the 3 corpse demon art with the 9 transformations dragon art, and it was easy to cause problems. For example, the 3 corpses last time actually gave birth to another spiritual wisdom, who admired the right way and turned against you, haha, it made me laugh to death. True monarch Shura couldn't stop laughing. I'm not good at calculus, so I can only come to you. If you don't agree, I'll go to the ancestors. True monarch demon dragon said indifferently. The voice in the hall was silent for a while, and said, it's worth it, for the sake of your bowing your head, the old man will come to calculate. In fact, you don't need to calculate, you know, there must be something wrong with your 3 corpses. Impossible, I will lock it in the ground and temper it day and night with the naturally born soul-killing fire. What can go wrong? You know, where the cave is, I have not told anyone, and my 3 the body is not easy to mess with, under the law, it is full of ants. The demon dragon true monarch replied without thinking. A 3 corpse is alive, no wonder you are reluctant to kill it, just hope to slowly erase its sanity. I remember you dealt with a catastrophe before, 3 corpses, only this last one remains. Dragon. True monarch Azura said indifferently, it's just that the person who goes away doesn't want to kill it, but if they want to let it go? That's even more impossible. In our Kunlun land, who would dare to disobey the magic palace? Unless it is a righteous cub. The demon dragon true monarch shook his head again. Besides, I asked for the Juya demon logo chain from the ancestors, the lock. Unless it is one of the famous flying swords in the universe, it is impossible to cut off those 3 corpses. I really did the math, and the result came out. I'm afraid there is something wrong with the formation you arranged there, which is a good opportunity to take advantage of. Azura demon lord suddenly said, if you rush now, you may still come in time. What? Demon dragon true monarch's expression changed greatly, and he was about to fly out. Suddenly, his whole body shook and he spit out a mouthful of demon blood. It's really that evil dragon, it got out of trouble. Boom. Dragon Valley. The ground split open, and a black dragon flew out, shouting, I've been in the cage for a long time, and the shackles have been broken once, haha, I'll go too. Immediately shook his head and swayed his tail and flew away to Dagon. Senior Demon Dragon, can I stop for a while? I still want to find someone to thank him. Zhuangzian stood on top of the dragon's head, grabbed the dragon's horns, and shouted loudly. I can't wait, I can't stop, otherwise my deity will surely come after me, and I can't beat it, but in terms of speed, haha, he's like me. He can't catch up with me now. It's safe to run to Shushan. The magic dragon laughed. This time it was also my luck, that the great formation of the Forbidden Burrow actually made a mistake because of an earth dragon turning over, so I was able to open it up and connect it to the dark river in the Magic Dragon Valley. Waiting for you. It's also thanks to you boy that you actually carry the famous suppressing demon flying sword from the Shushan sword sect. This is all the love of the headmaster, and that person helped. Zhuangzian said embarrassedly. I don't care, anyway, if you saved me, the old dragon only recognizes you. If I go to take shelter under the Shushan sword sect, I can only be aggrieved to be a divine beast, or you should accept Lilang as a disciple, so that I can learn the Shushan sword section. The surface is dismissive, but in fact, I always envy those sword immortals, let me tell you. This demon dragon is babbling on, and it is actually a talker. Dang dang. Kunlun Magic Palace, the magic bell rang loudly. With a cold face, Yunishang brought Fang Xian and others together on the field. I just heard an elder Jindan shouting, the true monarch of the demon dragon has an order, all the true disciples will come out, investigate the decent spies of Kunlun in thousands of miles, and kill without mercy. Follow the law. A group of disciples shouted in unison, and the escaping light spread out, like shooting stars. Fang Xian followed Yunishang, also got on a flying boat, and rolled his eyes secretly. It's too late, now I can only kill other righteous spies to vent their anger. Are you too lazy to come out without seeing the demon dragon true monarch? I can't think of Zhuangzian's chance. It turns out to be a magic dragon, and he will travel on the dragon in the future. This kid is so compelling. Fang Xian is a little envious. After all, the magic dragon is the same as the blood god Gu, both of which are the power of the law. It's just that the fate is deep and the misfortune is deep. He knew that he did not meet the conditions for obtaining this opportunity, and he did not want to accept the great cause and effect, and was hunted down by the demon dragon true monarch all over the world. If you want to save the dragon, the first thing is to have a magic weapon that can cut the chains of Moruo. My shapeless needle is barely able to do it, but the key is the second point: you must not be afraid of the Kunlun Devil Palace and be able to protect it. I want to get the magic dragon. I'm afraid I can only invest in a Suanman authentic, otherwise I will never live in peace. Then Zhuangzian has been deeply troubled since then. Even if he has the protection of the Shushan sword sect, he must be careful when going out in the future. He is definitely on the must-kill list of the demon dragon true monarch. While thinking about it, I heard Yunishang snort softly. The bell of the devil is ringing 9 times, no matter what the true disciples do, they must go out and gather together. Where is Yan Moluo? Fang Xian didn't pay attention just now, only now did he know that the true disciple, Yan Moruo, didn't come. Haha, junior sister Yunishang, you don't have to always try to find the fault of senior brother. A jade boat flew by, and the 6th-ranked true disciple Kang Mingzi said with a smile, "Do you know why the senior brother didn't come? That's because he has been in seclusion for many years, and finally broke through the law and went to the bottom of the Juyo magic spring. The old ancestor received the award, he. Since then, there will be another true monarch in this palace, and the junior sister will meet again. I am afraid that I will kneel to welcome." What? Yunishang really shuddered and stayed there. Fang Xian looked over and saw that her delicate body was trembling faintly, and there seemed to be crystals in her eyes that were about to fall, but she forcibly held back. She just urged the flying boat, which turned into a beam of light and disappeared quickly. Tisk tisk, senior brother Kang Mingzi, you really don't understand Lian Xiangziu, look at how sad this little beauty is. Another true disciple flew over and said with a smile. This woman has been missed by the 2 true monarchs of the sect for a long time. She is absolutely unprecedented. I really want to see when she will die. Rather than that, why don't you bet on which true monarch will strike first? Haha, I have a plan. Why don't we capture this girl first and leave it to true monarch Moruo to deal with? After all, this true monarch is the strongest, and we should rely on the strong. Well said. The eyes of many disciples around were shining, especially the true disciples of the 5 halls of Fiheng, Jingtao, Yuangu, Suihe, and Haonation, and they quickly shouted, "That's how it should be." The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 109. The flying boat broke into the air. Yunishang stood alone on the deck, and the atmosphere was gloomy. Those servant boys in the main hall didn't even dare to take a breath. For fear of being caught by the desperate palace master, he killed him with a sword to vent his anger. "Palace master, please condolences. Calm down." Fang Xian sighed and stepped forward to persuade. "My condolences? Haha, when I was 5 years old, Yan Maluo blood washed the small town where my family was located in order to refine a magic weapon. All my relatives and friends were swept away and refined into materials. At the age of 18, I wanted to go out of Kunlun and go to Dongtu Dagon to worship a famous sect, but I was caught by the true Lord of the Sea of Blood and took him to the magic palace to be a disciple. Then Yan Moruo became my senior brother instead. Okay, my master has bad intentions, I accept my fate, and I just want to end my grievance if I die. As a result, my enemy has been promoted to a true monarch. Sorrow. How do you want me to mourn? How to calm down? I want revenge. I want revenge." Yunishang looks crazy. With a wave of her hand, a bloody flying fork will fly out, and to control this light, she will fly back to the Kunlun Devil Palace desperately. After all, she has been in the magic palace for a long time, and she has practiced magic arts again, and her temperament is extreme. At this time, it should be a little crazy and confused. Thanks, you still have a little conscience. You didn't want to kill me to vent your anger, you can still save it. Fang Xian secretly slandered, and raised his hand. 5 black cords emerged, turning into a strange hand with black scales on the surface and webbed fingers connected to each other. Like swatting flies, he slapped Yunishang down and shouted, "Calm down and don't be disturbed by your inner demons." After all, Yunishang is the true seed. She was emotional just now, but she calmed down a little, and immediately closed her eyes to exercise. After a long time, he opened his eyes, but stared at Fang Xian. "You are definitely not an ordinary boy in the magic palace. Yu Suanji is probably a pseudonym. Ordinary supernatural power, the ability to press her a golden pill? Of course not. You don't need to know who I am. I just ask you, do you want revenge?" Fang Xian was wearing a mask with a thick skin, and asked with a smile, not afraid of Yunishang's piercing gaze. "Of course, as long as you can get revenge, this life can be sold to you, but you can do it?" Yunishang glanced at Fang Xian provocatively. "Of course I'm very good. For example, now, you're being targeted. Listen to me, go to the Kunlun border at full speed." Fang Xian shouted. "It's Kang Mingzi, and Suangxuanzi, as well as Fi Hung, Jingtao, Yuangu, Suihe, and Nation's 5 hall dogs. The defeated generals still want to take me to please Yan Moruo?" Yunishang sneered, "Bah! Why don't you go quickly?" Fang Xian frowned, grabbed the right to control the flying boat, and ran towards the border with all his strength. "You are a disciple of the Great Middle-earth sect, want to kidnap me?" Yunishang rolled her eyes, and suddenly snickered. "If it was before, my sister would have let you kidnap it. Unfortunately, since I became a true biography, my fatal master has placed a ban on me, and I can't walk out of Kunlun Wanli." Noisy. Fang Xian turned a deaf ear, and called for the avatar outside the body to come to join him. At this time, he is not at the supernatural power level. Even if he adds a Yunishang, he is afraid that he will be caught up by the 7 Jindan demon cultivators behind him if he can't run very far. Although it can be killed with a wave, garbage also has garbage value. "I'm just going to flee to the border and kill them again." Fang Xian answered indifferently, and recited the great spell of the devil. Countless demons fell, swallowed by an invisible vortex, turned into a large amount of pure vitality, and poured into the flying boat. This flying boat was originally just an ordinary magic weapon, but at this time it was like eating Shiquan Dabu pills. It exploded. This wicked method. There is also a name in the Kunlun Magic Palace, which is called the supernatural power of disintegration of demons, which can be used by people and instruments. It's just that people die as soon as they are used, and magic tools are destroyed as soon as they are used. With the help of this vitality, the speed of the flying boat increased, but the 7 sons of the magic sect at the back also exerted their magical powers and pursued them relentlessly. This, the great swallowing demon art, can you still use it like this without any backlash? How is it possible? Yunishang saw the brilliance in her eyes. Fang Xian ignored her, deliberately controlled the speed, and hung the 7 sons of the magic door far behind. 10 hours later, it will cross thousands of miles and reach the Kunlun regional border. It's almost there. I have been in the magic palace for 3 years, and I can understand the magic palace system. Daijunming he has been unable to cultivate, and the same is true for the 4 great true monarchs. If there is an accident with the true disciple in the palace at this time, which true monarch do you think will be sent out? Fang Xian asked calmly. Yan Moruo, because he has just broken through, the law is the strongest. Yunishang replied subconsciously. I heard that he just went to see Daijunming he, what do you think the ancestor will reward? Fang Xian's mouth gradually twitched. Maybe, it's something that is of great use to the true monarch of the law. What are you asking about this? Yunishang asked strangely. It's nothing, you can send a message to the magic palace for help. Fang Xian stopped the flying boat, watched it start to fall apart, and said indifferently. Said I was hunted down by a true disciple? He, no one will come to save me. My master has also retreated, and even if he did not retreat, he might not be willing to oppose a new Faxiang Zhenjun, Yunishang replied with a wry smile. No, you should tell the truth. You met a spy who was mixed in with a decent disciple. The spy was no more than Jindan, but he killed 7 true disciples in a row. You are not an opponent, you can only ask for help. Fang Xian said seriously. In this way, it is possible to attract a certain Dharma master to come, and 70 to 80% of them may be that Yamalu. And 60% to 70% of Yamalu may be carrying the 9 Serenity Yellow Spring Sticks water just given. It's worth the gamble. What are you kidding? Yunishang thought she had seen a lunatic. But the next moment, Fang Xian stood up in the sky, and with a wave of his hand, the fire dragon sword flew towards him with the great Sun Zhenyang pill and was swallowed by him. Immediately, he looked at the 7 escaping lights chasing behind him, pointed his fingers into swords, and stabbed out a sword. Stab it? He didn't bully anyone, he used the Nanming Li Huo Jianju. However, with the magic power of the great Sun Zhenyang pill, this sword art is motivated, coupled with his excellent swordsmanship of Zhongguang breaking law, sword ruyin, flying sword spirituality, and fire dragon. The sword is already the pinnacle of gold in this world. That sword energy suddenly stretched and turned into a long rainbow of dozens of meters, piercing a flying boat. Boom! That flying boat, together with the golden core of a demon sect true inheritance above it, exploded into flames in an instant. It's a decent sword, immortal. Quick! Join forces. Send a signal. Kang Mingzi and Xian Suanzi shouted loudly, and firstly protected the whole body heavily. This was a necessary means to deal with sword immortal. But when the 2 true disciples just finished casting the spell and took out the magic weapon, they saw 4 flames in the sky explode one after another. The true disciples of the 5 halls of Fiheng, Jingtao, Yuangu, Suihe, and Haonation, together with their servants, were all wiped out. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 110. This is definitely the most authentic sword immortal in Suanmen. Who are you? Monk Sangziao? Ascetic head Tuo? Or lay Buddhist Jinxiu? Kang Mingzi and Suanzi shouted. Some magical powers and secrets were used desperately, and they added layers of protection to themselves. It seemed that only in this way could they feel at ease. As for escaping, they wouldn't do such stupid things. Compete with Jianxian for sword escape. Is it a show of brains? Not at all. Can I die? Fang Xian stood up in the sky, as if preparing to strike again. Seeing this, Kang Mingzi immediately took out the magic weapon at the bottom of the pressing box. This treasure is called Swanyan Gathering Demon Banner, which is an upgraded version of the 5 magic banners in Fang Xian's hands. At this time, shaking desperately, and reciting the true art, a head of gods and demons jumped out of the banner and guarded the 2 of them. Xian Suanzi gave up and continued to defend, holding a gourd, and kept placing thunder beads around the 2. This thunder ball is black and does not slip away in autumn. It is the secret magic thunder of the 9 sons and mother. It is best at contaminating magic weapons, and it will explode when touched. Being able to force the intriguing true disciples of the demon sect to join forces to fight against the enemy shows how much Fang Xian had given them a shock before. Not bad, ordinary Jindan sword immortal, really can't win you guys. Fang Xian expressed a little solemnity, and hid the invisible needle in Nanming Li Huajian Qi and waved it gently. Puff! The originally earth-shattering sword light suddenly disappeared. It slashed past, and the surrounding Lizu and Swanyan demon gathering demon remained motionless, but Kang Mingzi and Suanzi among them were split into 2 halves, including their golden core. Jade girl. After doing all this, Fang Xian turned around and looked at Yunishang. At this time, Yunishang was bleeding all over her body, driving the bloody flying fork, and stabbed the last boy on her own flying boat to death. After doing all this, she turned around with a smile and said, "I believe in you, since I believe in you, these disciples can't keep. It is good. Fang Xian took a deep look at Yunishang, send a signal, if I get what I want and become a true monarch in the future, I will kill those two people for you. If he can become a Dharma image, killing two demon sect true monarchs is indeed like killing two dogs. It's been posted. In fact, the 7 true disciples' life lights are extinguished. I'm afraid that the Kunlun Devil Palace has been turned upside down. Are you sure you didn't send them anything back? I'll start quickly. Fang Xiandao, besides, even if I pass it back, it's not my Yu Suanji who is unlucky. Yunishang. Facts have proved that Faxiang Zhenjun came very quickly. The speed of Jindan cultivators' escape was about an hour and 1,000 miles. Fang Xian and the 7 sons of the demon sect entangled and traveled to the Kunlun Magic Palace for 10 hours. But the coercion of the true monarch of the law has already shrouded in less than half an hour. Yunishang had already fled far away at this time, leaving Fang Xian alone waiting in place. Of course, he is not a fool, he has already used the invisible needle to hide his figure and hide aside. After waiting for a long time, the overwhelming pressure shrouded the earth, and a man in black robe did not know when he appeared in the air. The bridge of his nose is slightly high, his skin is morbidly pale, and his every move is full of strange magic. As Yunishang described, it's Yan Moruo. Fang Xian's heart moved, and his eyes stared straight at this person, looking for the place where the storage bag was hidden. His own breath was hazy and completely disappeared. Who is it? Who killed me in the 7 true inheritances of the Devil's Palace? Yunishang? It's impossible for this woman to do it. She summoned that there is a decent spy. Where is she? Or also dead? Yan Moruo's consciousness subconsciously glanced around, but unfortunately found nothing. It's now. Fang Xian felt that he was in a very delicate state at this time. Obviously the body is ready to do it, but there is no thought or thought in the heart, and there is no thought of doing it. Suddenly, in the void, an invisible sword energy emerged from the void, and slashed straight on Yan Moruo's right hand, a finger wearing a white ancient ring. Quick! 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 Everything is faster than expected. How sharp are the invisible needles? If it were an ordinary flying sword, it might not be able to kill the real monarch's body, but under the invisible sword energy, the finger fell directly, a figure appeared, grabbed the ring and ran away. Who dares to hurt me? Yan Moruo roared, the finger flew directly to the wound, and the buds grew and healed, and they returned to normal in an instant. The cultivator has reached this stage, and he is no longer an ordinary flesh and blood, and there is no vital point to say. This is also the reason why Fang Xian didn't think about attacking and killing this person before. Once the attack succeeded, Fang Xian never took a moment to leave, turning into a sword light and escaping. Do you still want to run? In the roar of Yan Moruo, a Dharma image instantly appeared. The Dharma is the state of the mind. When the mind moves, how fast is it? Almost at the moment when Fang Xian succeeded, and the broken finger flew back, a Dharma image suddenly appeared between the heavens and the earth. I don't know which god or demon this Dharma is. Standing on the ground, the blue-black arm sticks out, and countless flesh and blood are derived from it, turning into baby-like arms, constantly exploding and bridging. Fall down. Boom. Within a radius of dozens of miles, the land was sunken, and a huge slap print appeared. Countless cracks continue to extend outward and vibrate. Ding! A clear sword cry came. An incomparably sharp sword light emerged directly from the back of the giant hand that covered the sky, and disappeared in a flash in the sky. Ah! The huge Dharma images were roaring furiously, and the sky was dark. But Yamaluo didn't pursue, but looked at his palm. That's Hejian, can it hurt my Dharma? Although the Dharma is not as strong as the indestructible primordial spirit, there are few things in this world that can hurt. Just now, there was severe pain in his Fa Xiang's big hand, it seemed that he had been pierced by a needle, and his soul was injured. After all, the core of the Dharma is the cultivator's soul. The invisible needle is extremely sinister and can hurt the soul even more. Of course, with the sturdiness of the Dharma, an ordinary Jindan cultivator, even with an invisible needle, would not be able to pierce the skin. Nei Fangxian is not an ordinary Jindan cultivator. And this Yan Maluo didn't know the power of the invisible needle, but he felt a palpitation coming, which made his heart skip a beat. Not only that, but on top of the Dharma, the needle-sized wound not only cannot be healed, but has a tendency to intensify. In the sky, Fang Xianren's needles were united, and the light seemed to be invisible, like thunder and lightning, and they were away from the battlefield in an instant. He chose the battlefield at the Kunlun regional border, and he was fighting the idea of one hit and escape. But I didn't expect that I would still fight with Yan Moruo's Dharma, and at this time, my whole body was in pain, and the surface of the great Sun Zhenyang pill showed a slight crack. If it were an ordinary Jindan cultivator, he would have been seriously injured at this moment. The road foundation was greatly damaged, and there was no hope for him to move forward. Fortunately, it's not my life Jindan. Fang Xian sighed. It seems that the last sword urged the valley too much, and Jindan couldn't hold it anymore, huh? Why does it feel like my fate with the invisible needle disappeared at once? Impossible, unless I avenge Yu Nishang. How can it be possible? Wait, then Yan Moruo was injured by my invisible needle, which is to hurt the soul. It will not be lawless, and I have to mourn 7. Waiting for death for days and 7 nights? How to treat the wound caused by the invisible needle, I don't know. Look at the Kunlun Magic Palace. Let's talk about the news in 7 days. Anyway, I probably won't be able to achieve the law, and I can't step into this Kunlun area for half a step. While flying away, Fang Xian was still trying to crack the white bone ring. At this moment, he heard a crisp sound, and immediately felt a joy in his heart and penetrated into his spiritual sense. Ignoring the rest, I directly found a gourd Juyu Huan Quan Ming He water, with a smile on his face. Okay, it's a worthwhile trip. With a thought, he took out the true gourd water and immediately changed the container. Immediately, the white bone ring was also thrown away by him without any hesitation. What magical powers, or cherishing materials, can be more important than his formation of elixir? Being tracked because of temporary greed is not worth it. If I do this, I'm afraid that there will be a real monarch and a Taoist who will immediately reckon me. The reincarnation formula of 100 generations can't be suppressed. The most urgent task is to immediately form a pill and use the power of reincarnation to disrupt my own secrets. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 111. Kunlun Magic Palace. The shrill screams reverberated in the air, as if the demons had seized their souls, and the disciples and servants with lower cultivation had died one after another. In the end, a great prohibition formation emerged, isolating the great hall where Yamaluo lived. Outside the hall, Demon Dragon, Shura, Sea of Blood, and 10,000 Bones, the 4 demonic sect masters, all appeared together, with extremely solemn expressions on their faces. Unfortunately, I thought that the 4 true monarchs of the Kunlun Devil Palace would become the top 5, now it seems that there are still 4, true monarch Azura said with a strange smile. Just chasing a mere golden pill, how can you do this? Demon Dragon True Monarch frowned. The reason for this is still with him. This is an injury to the soul of the Dharma, it should be the injury of the flying sword, it's just very sinister, it seems to contain the supreme means of righteousness and demons, and the ordinary method of repairing the soul, I'm afraid it won't work. Wangu glanced at the true monarch of the Sea of Blood next to him. I heard that this time, all the 7 great golden elixir true inheritances have died, and only your daughter-in-law survived. The one who shot is obviously a spy. What does it have to do with my apprentice? True monarch Blood Sea said indifferently, even if there are some small secrets, it's okay, as long as her blood shadow is a great success, the old man will personally take action and take her away. Soul refinement. Okay, you feel bad for a blood godson, then wait. True monarch 10,000 Bones looked at true monarch Shura again. What can you calculate? The righteous spies who shot this time are hazy. There should be some magic weapon secret to suppress their own secrets, but it has a lot to do with the person who let go of the dragon last time. True monarch Azura glanced at true monarch demon dragon and said indifferently, Shusan. It's Shusan again. The demon dragon true monarch roared immediately. On that day, Zhuangzian walked on the dragon. Don't be too aggressive. He was recognized early, and the news was placed on the desks of the various demons. It was only when he hid back to the Shusan sword sect that he could do nothing for a while. At this time, I could only hear Yan Moruo's wailing even more in the hall, and the natal law appeared. There were countless granulation-like arms on the body of the god and demon, and they flew up the hall, trying to make up for the cracks themselves, but to no avail. His divine soul is constantly weakening, and I'm afraid that when the 7-day period arrives, it will be completely destroyed. Even reincarnation is impossible. True monarch Azura exclaimed, when did such a vicious flying sword come out between heaven and earth? The other 3 true monarchs also had ugly faces and said, for today's plan, I have to go and invite the ancestors. Dea Junming he has been cultivating in the Juyu magic spring, wanting to break through the last barrier, cross the tribulation to achieve the perfect way of heaven and demons, and open a precedent for the demonic way in this world. In this world, in the side door, there has never been a true master of the law that can cultivate longevity and break through the master of the primordial spirit. The demon sect is slightly better than the side sect, but only by refining the primordial spirit, it cannot rise through calamity. Dea Junming he is a mana. In fact, even those immortals who are about to ascend in the right way are extremely afraid, but the Deo is hopeless and has been wasted in the mortal world. I don't know when I will be able to break through that last layer. After all, the ascension of the demons is unacceptable to the world, and the doom that is brewing is even more terrifying. Fang Xian didn't know that Yan Moruo was seriously injured and difficult to recover, and he had reached the point of alarming Yuan Shen Daejun. At this time, after escaping from the Kunlun Devil Palace area, he began to prepare to form the pill. A barren mountain. Fang Xian called up the attribute bar. Talent, Eye of Dongxian. Realm, Divine Ability. Nanming Li Huajianju, Dachan. Taigzu breaks the body and invisible sword art, Dachan. 6 paths of reincarnation, Dachan. No matter how I deduce the 6 paths of reincarnation, they are only at the level of spiritual art, and at most the pills are of the middle and low grades, and they have to be supplemented by other things. Fang Xian closed his eyes, his mana surged, and in his danshan, the magical talisman formed by the 6 paths of reincarnation suddenly rose and began to form elixir. Black and white light emerged, with 6 phantoms. Suddenly, the 6-layer phantom merged in the middle and turned into a somewhat mixed illusory core. The sky was turbulent, the clouds were dense, and the spiritual energy swept through, turning into a vortex. Even if it's just a magical power, Chengdan's momentum is not inferior to those of the top 3. If you condense solid pills in this way, I am afraid that there is a hope that pills will become the 4th grade. Fang Xian took out the eternal fire of good fortune and absorbed this fire into his danshan. This fire has been burning for thousands of years, and it is immortal. Under the scorching fire of good fortune, the illusory pill suddenly became smaller, and the impurities in the pill suddenly decreased. Seeing this, Fang Xian Changlong was absorbing water, and he swallowed the water from the Styx River in the 9 nether springs. This Styx River's true water is the hard work of Dea Junming He, which can refine the negative qualities of the law and enhance the Taoism of the true master of the law. Used here, I saw that under the attack of water and fire, the illusory core kept shrinking, but the inside was gradually purified. Combine. Seeing this, Fang Xian made another trick, to completely absorb the fire of good fortune and the water of the Ming River into the virtual core, so that the dragon and tiger meet, and the golden core is complete. But the virtual core trembled, unexpectedly unstable for a while. The vortex of spiritual energy surging outside slowly slowed down, and there was a tendency to disintegrate. Is it so difficult to reincarnate into a pill? But my secret method is already based on the blood hexagram of the turtle and the blood, and I have achieved it with the attributes column. Fang Xian frowned. If Cheng Dan delays for too long, the doom will become stronger, and it will be easier to fail. If nothing else, with such a huge momentum, monks from thousands of miles nearby might be attracted. He looked at the virtual core in his body, and his mind was in a trance for a while, thinking of the previous life, the previous life. The first two generations were confused, and the third generation beat the contemporary, but due to the limitations of the world, they could not live forever. Those scenes of joys and sorrows emerged in Fang Xian's heart. His heart has long been tempered and unmoved by foreign objects. I understand, if you want to be reincarnated into a pill, in addition to the endless fire of good fortune and the water of the 9 secluded yellow springs, you also need a reincarnation heart. In this world, there is no monk who is more suitable for practicing the way of reincarnation than me. Fang Xian put a bit of samsara's thoughts into the virtual core, and even the invisible attribute bar seemed to be shaking slightly. After this little thought, the illusory core immediately stabilized, black and white intertwined, expanding and collapsing continuously, and finally completely stabilized, condensing into a round golden core. Unparalleled quality, the 9-turn life and death reincarnation pill. Shangshanbai falls to Huangquan, and the 2 rivers reincarnate. Fang Xian let out a long whistle, and the electric snake danced wildly in the sky, as if it was about to descend an infinite thunder. But the next moment, a roulette shadow appeared. Small round plate. This cycle of reincarnation traverses the heavens and the earth, and with a slight rotation, the thunder tribulations in the sky will be completely eliminated. The vision of Dank Hung, reincarnation. Jindan has the vision of the Dharma. I achieved the 9th round of life and death reincarnation pill, and I really grasped the fate of this innate spiritual treasure. Fang Xian smiled slightly, and saw the reincarnation disc turning, a trace of reincarnation power fell on his golden core. This is his special golden core, which inspired a trace of the power of reincarnation and completely disrupted his own secret. Even Yuan Shendaijun can't count him. The Lord of Reincarnation. Author, Wen Xiaogong. Chapter 112. Reincarnation Dank Hung. Fang Xian immediately changed his location and started his first practice after the golden elixir. The most important of them, of course, is to comprehend the Dongxian secret record once again after the breakthrough of the realm. This time, in the face of all kinds of strange, distorted, confusing, and extremely complicated information, he did not choose to passively accept it as in the past, and comprehend the magical powers of the Dharma. Instead, take the initiative to choose a direction and begin to comprehend. His eyes were colorful, and he seemed to see the truth of this world again. Pieces of strange information poured in, making him dizzy, and his consciousness was going crazy. In the cave, Fang Xian's body began to melt slowly like a wax statue. At a critical moment, a black and white golden core with endless rotation emerged, emitting a gray light. Certainly. Fang Xian seized the last bit of clarity in his mind and broke free from the insights of Dongxianmalu. During the flow of mana, his body that was close to collapse was reassembled and returned to his original youthful appearance. It's so hanging, if it wasn't for the achievement of Jindan, this time maybe it's really crazy. What is the origin of this Dongxian secret record transcript? I'm afraid that the guy from the elite area came to kill me, not for the sake of it. Law enforcement tracking, but to silence, so that you can monopolize this thing? This item, even in the interstellar world of my second life, is a great thing? He stopped thinking, completely emptied his mind and body, and calmed down after a long time to count the gains. I have comprehended some information, but there is no magical method that can be used. This is normal, after all. The same is true for me in the rune realm, but I grasped a point and took the initiative to comprehend a certain method. It seems feasible. This is once I already had some foundations and sporadic fragments. The next time I comprehend at the time of the true master of the law, I will definitely be able to combine it into the magical power I want. But just now, I used the samsara pill as a guide, and it seemed that I saw the location of the sans hung mirror. The sans hung mirror is a fragment of the reincarnation disc, which can make the reincarnated cultivator awaken the memory of the previous life and regain the magical power. This mirror also caused a big chaos at the beginning, and Yuan Shendeajun made a move for it. Later, his whereabouts are unknown, but it is related to me. After completing the 9th wheel of life and death reincarnation pill, all the reincarnations in this world have a trace of fate with Fang Xian. If this fairy mansion rare treasure is obtained, it is almost Fang Xian's treasure of enlightenment. The true monarch of the law refines the yin of the law, and in the end there is only a little pure yang left, and there is still one thing to rely on as a sustenance. Although only relying on an indestructible primordial spirit is enough to suppress most of the monks in this world, the rank of the treasures entrusted will naturally have an impact on the primordial spirit Daijun's combat power. Those who entrust ordinary magic treasures, even those of the Great Perfection series, are the weakest type of Yuan Shen Daijun. The real ascended immortals must be the first-class treasures of the immortal mansion. For example, the original Tianhuo Shangren did not choose the Jushin Suanhuojian as the sustenance of his primordial spirit, because even when this magic weapon was at its peak, it was only a complete restraint of the 36th heaven, and it was not comparable to any immortal device. Magical instruments, magic treasures, Xianfa rare treasures, immortal instruments, innate spiritual treasures. In Fang Xian's hand, he used to have a shapeless needle, barely enough to reach the level of the rare treasures of the immortal mansion, which can be used to entrust the primordial spirit. But if this is the case, although he is unparalleled in combat power among Yuan Shen Daijun, he has cut off the fate of reincarnation. In comparison, the sans hung mirror is very suitable. Get this thing. I'm really asking for it without any pretense. Fang Xian stepped on the fire dragon sword and Yujian went out. To achieve Jindan by yourself is different from relying on outer alchemy before. When he released his spiritual sense, he saw a flash of light. Inside was a white-haired scattered cultivator with only supernatural powers. He chased after him and shouted, "Fellow deist, please stay." "Who is the senior?" The Sangxian stopped and looked at Fang Xian, only to feel that the senior was very kind, like an old friend who he hadn't seen for many years, and he felt a little close in his heart. "I'm a loose cultivator nearby, and fellow deists are in a hurry." "What's the matter?" Fang Xian asked with a smile. "The Juzwen life and death reincarnation pill is infinitely useful. He just used a little trick, which is more sharp and convenient than the 100-world reincarnation art. Earlier, it was said that there was a vision of heaven and earth in the east, and maybe a strange treasure was born," the old man of loose cultivators said embarrassedly. "So that's the case, fellow deist wants to hit a chance?" Fang Xian nodded. "I've been in retreat for many years, and I just came out of the mountain. I don't know what's going on in the world of practice. If you talk about the biggest thing, it is naturally the Shushan sword sect and the sidemen fighting swords." The old man Sangxian said without hesitation. The Shushan swordsman disciples went to try their swords, and the sidemen were both severely damaged. How can this be tolerated? 3 immortals and 2 heroes, Shushan Daxing, it's no secret, the true monarchs of the side door, don't want to wait for these children of destiny to grow up. Sure enough, no one in this world is a fool, the side door has already begun to share the enemy, and the Kunlun Devil Palace is also preparing for the war. It is impossible to wait for the four little real monarchs to do it. Fang Xian felt that he had a little more insight into the general trend of the world, and with a fist, the escaped light disappeared. Shushan's sword sect fights swords, what does it have to do with him? This kind of karma is too much involved, and it just delays the practice. Fang Xian's sword light broke through the sky, and according to the connection between the reincarnation pill, he wandered between the mountains and rivers. I don't know how long ago, he came to the edge of a small stream. The stream is gurgling and crystal clear, with rocks and moss on both sides. In the silence, a few voices suddenly came. Sister Yingzi, I think it's good here, and the scenery is beautiful, how about taking a rest here? A sword light fell, and three figures appeared, actually Zhu Yingzi and Han Yingzi. These two women also have the cultivation base of supernatural power, and walk with the sword, but with a small tail. That little tail was a young man in azure clothes, born with sword eyebrows and star eyes, and had an extraordinary appearance. He flattered, the two sisters chose this place, it must be very good. The younger brother was born in a water town, how about going to catch a fish for my sister? What? Zhu Yingzi looks like a young girl, her body is undiminished, she glanced around, suddenly screamed, and shouted, where is the master here? It seems that these two women are like Zhuge Wengxian, who came out to meet the chance. There must be some treasure on my body, otherwise, even if I didn't hide it on purpose, they wouldn't be able to find it. Now that he was discovered, Fang Xian didn't care, he came out and said, it's me. Brother Fang Xian. Zhu Yingzi's eyes lit up, the last time I said goodbye, Yingzi was so worried about you.